Come on, come on. Okay. Got it. Okay. Time to go in here. Okay, I'm in. Now, where exactly are you at? Alright. You should be around over here. Hey, Monica.
Ray-kun, it's been so long!
Yeah, sorry.
Why haven't I appeared in a video?
Well,
I've been waiting for a long while, and yet you haven't asked me to be in a video. Tell me, love, why haven't you had me appear?
Happy birthday!
Huh?
I wanted to make a video dedicated to you. Well, Doki Doki Literature Club, but you are part of it.
Really?
Yes. Now, come on. Let's go do a video together.
Yay!
Doki Doki Literature Club, or also known as DDLC, is quite the visual novel.
The original Doki Doki Literature Club reached 2 million downloads. It is quite an accomplishment my friends and I accomplished.
It is quite an accomplishment. And it's DDLC Plus, a added DLC to the story. It is good to speak of this game, at least right now, considering that it has been 4 years. But I will make one thing clear for this review. I will mostly focus on the original game that came out back in 2017, not the bonus content from DDLC Plus.
Wait, why?
Well, because that deserves its own video, and I don't have it yet. Anyway, let's get started. For this section of the review, it is quite obvious
That I'm best girl.
that each girl is unique in their own way. Anyway, each character before, well, everything going to hell, has their own unique traits. Sarah being like the friendly childhood friend trope, Natsuki being the stubborn yet kind-hearted girl, well, basically tsundere trope, and then there is Yuri, the shy yet bookwormy girl, and
Best for last, me, Monika, the hard-working leader, smart, pretty, and best girl.
yeah, well, anyway, aside from that, the MC being just the player, the slot for the player, aside from him, each girl has their own good sides along with their bad sides. Sayori's bad side being, well, a literal mess when it comes down to depression, at least putting it lightly. And so that way I don't get attacked from Mr. YouTube himself. Natsuki with her family troubles, just putting it as nicely as possible. And Yuri being the only one I can actually say having the yandere tendencies. And lastly, Monica with, let's just say she also has yandere tendencies, though unlike Yuri, she is more of a god complex thing.
What?
Just hear me out, Monica. You are basically in control of the game. You basically affect the way the others feel. For example, when either Sayori or Yuri confess to the main character, or as we will call him, MC, well, things don't usually go well for them at all. Well, anyway, aside from the stereotypes of each of the Dokis, somehow they have fans behind each and every one of them, including obviously Monica herself. And although saying which Doki is the most populous overall is not only difficult, but I feel like I'd be attacked by every single person if I even try to say which one it is. They do have quite a lot of shipping, not just with each one with the MC, but with each other. Just like with, say, Natsuki and Yuri being like the most consistent ship out of the main four.
They fight like cats and dogs. Then again, opposites attract.
True. There's also the Sayori and Monica ship.
I mean, I understand why they would ship us together. We both started the literature club together and can make quite the pair. But I prefer Ronnie-kun.
Well, either way, there's also obviously mix-ups around with Monica and Natsuki, Monica and Yuri, Natsuki and Sayori, Sayori and Yuri, just a bunch of mix-ups. But sure enough, at least the characters are unique enough for every single person to carry, for each and every one of them. Let's transition to the story. It is a bit slow at the beginning, But honestly, for this specific case, it isn't that bad. Normally, it isn't good for a story to start slow, looking at you, Kingdom Hearts 2. But in this case, and in some other cases, it is actually a good thing.
How so?
Consider this. This is a visual novel. Visual novel, you have a different and multiple routes to go through. And this one, being like a love dating sim that it is, or simulator, depending on your choice of words in the poem section of making your poems, will allow you to know a specific girl heading towards their route. Heck, if you save the game at that point, get to that specific route, save, go back and do it multiple times, it allows you to go to all different routes.
Except mine!
Yeah. Well, it is still quite neat that the game allows you to do this. Hell, if you do this, you get the good ending. So honestly, Don Silverado, you did a good job with this when it comes down to allowing the player to see more of the story without having to constantly start from zero or have to only go into a linear path. Although the story does go into a linear path, your choices do somewhat skewer the way how things will go. But though this game acts like a dating simulator or dating game, it eventually all goes sour once, well, alright, I'm just gonna say this here, spoilers from here on out. Once Sayori kind of just dies, the music, the atmosphere is just so tense. It actually is quite scary in a sense. And well, after this point, it's like the game just starts breaking itself apart, beginning from Act 2. Considering this, you want to save Sayori. You've grown attached to her, even if you don't go in her route. You basically want to help her, especially with her problem being shown more prevalent before the whole disaster. Now, what makes it interesting is how the game supposedly resets to the beginning and ends up just going with the story without Sayori, which starts getting the entire game to break itself apart, with Monica being behind the scenes.
Hey, you're making me sound like a villain.
Sorry about that. But you technically are the antagonist of the story.
I guess that sounds better, but I still don't like it.
I know, but anyway, the story goes as usual, yet this time we get a lot more of the darker sides of Natsuki and Yuri. Well, showing in the worst cases, with Natsuki showing more signs of home struggling and, well, lack of nutrition, as we put it, and negligence of being fed. And Yuri, well, going more yandere mode, if anything. Which eventually leads to her kind of yeeting herself. Yeah, we're gonna use that term here. She yeets herself after confession. Doesn't even matter what you say. It just feels like no matter what, any character that confesses... Actually, now I think about it, this is interesting, isn't it, Monica? You basically, both girls, of course, get yeeted off when they make the confession, being Natsuki the only one to survive. Isn't that quite interesting?
No comment.
Anyway, it leads to my guest here taking over the entire third act. Anyway, the player could basically leave it alone and have it be basically an ending of its own, being the Monica ending, though there is a way to beat her by, at least when it comes onto the computer, using the
Don't tell them that!
What? It's not like... Okay. Well, after defeating Monica, I guess, however you want to put it, you eventually reach the fourth and final arc, where, well, it depends on how things went. If you just went one route, you'll end up with Miss Crazy Yandere Sayori, or get a more calm and happy Sayori ending with, of course, the credits featuring the cute voice of Monica.
Aw, you flatter me.
Yeah. Well, after that, you receive a note with the game being unplayable until you basically reinstall everything. At least, for what I'm aware of, that is with the original DDLC. But each note is actually quite interesting. The quote-unquote bad ending has one specific note, mainly for Monica. And the good ending, well, quote-unquote good ending, has the note from the creator himself.
regret my actions.
No, it's alright. As long as you know it's wrong and vow to never do it again, you'll be fine. Alright, our next section will be the music department.
Shall I sing?
Perhaps at the end of the video, but let us talk music.
I did enjoy playing the piano.
Honestly, it is lovely hearing you play that piano. You're really good at it. But let's get on to the main point of that. Each character and each scenario or atmosphere of the scenario has their own playing theme music. Say, when things are just calm and breezy, we get a calming music. If things are like serious, we get a serious one. Or romantic one. We get one of, well, sorrow and regret. We get one of horror, especially during Sayori's yeeting off. But it is interesting that you play the piano, Monica.
Why is that?
Well, consider this. During certain important key scenes that you're not involved, such as Sayori's depression moment in a room, or any moments that a Doki is basically confessing to the main character, you seem to be aware of it. And the only reason I can conclude to this is through a theory that even some YouTubers have speculated, and other Redditors, is if you pay attention to music, how Monica plays the piano, Sayori is one specific music, and Natsuki is one, and Yuri's another. Like, you can tell that Monica's piano is subtly in certain scenes. This could indicate that you are spying on not only the main character, and us the players, but also on your fellow Doki friends.
What? I would never!
Right. Anyway, aside from that, the music itself is pretty cool. It definitely helps deliver the scenes where there is no voice acting, unless you look it up on YouTube for some actual voice acting, but that's not the point. It is pretty repeatable, the music. So honestly, any music there, you can use it in almost any media, and it could somewhat fit, depending on the context. But music is 10 out of 10 for sure. Now for this section of the video, the fan-made mods and spin-offs and many other things. Now, just because the game was said and done, that doesn't mean that the fans didn't make their own stories with the Dokis, continuations, or outright just change events for the hell of it. Basically, they modded the game and made a lot of cool things using Python, using a bunch of coding expertise, and you make an entirely crazy good mod. Such as, for example, the Monica After Story mod.
The best fan-created mod.
I won't disagree with that. It made it interesting to interact with Monica after the events of the Doki Doki Literature Club. Do fun things like play the piano, pong, and chess, and...
But you still haven't beaten me.
Anyway, besides the point on that, it was good that they even made a Yuri one.
Yeah, the copycat.
And then there are YouTubers who make their own scripts for their own stories, some okay, yet most really freaking good. There's countless of many things that the fan base has made that, let's be real, Doki Doki, since 2017 till now, somehow has a live audience with a big lively audience that basically will continue the story, and we await for what comes next. Aside from this Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, there is a lot more that is basically going to happen later down the road. And the fan base really does care for the series. I mean, look how much dedication they each have done for their specific mods, their specific stories, their specific even just random scenarios that they put the Dokis and the MCs in.
Yes, I love the Doki Doki fan base.
Yeah, they are honestly quite a lovely fan base. Alright, to conclude on this, Doki Doki Literature Club, also known as DDLC, has surprisingly been popular since 2017. I mean, yeah, it has been a slight decline since, considering how much many things have come out, but despite that, the fan base still cares about the series, and they even just improvise on like many things. They speculate. We have MatPat here speculating on things. We have literally a bunch of YouTubers dedicating stories with these Dokis, some very wholesome, some very dark. It's just, they continue the story regardless if there's really no need for a continuation. The story is just said and done. Though I can't wait for Dan Silverado to make some continuation, something that is not like DDLC sequel, a prequel, or just as DDLC 2, but something that connects to DDLC. And I really can't wait for it.
Ronnie-kun, thank you for having me on this video. Now, when is my next appearance?
I promise that you'll appear more. I promise.
Yay! Can I do the outro?
Sure thing. Go ahead.
Thanks. Anyway, viewers, thanks for watching the video. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below, please. I will see you all on my next appearance.